So, Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Without further ado, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Everyone's really busy, but this is really important to talk about. So, we're going to wait just a couple of minutes while everyone is joining us. We are expecting a good turnout. My name, of course, is Shireen Mahmood, for those of you who know me. I'm a humanitarian. You often find me in Palestine, Lebanon, Turkey, Syria, etc., etc. But I'm glad to be here today representing MCB, and they have been doing some amazing work up and down the country, getting to know people from all sorts of cities up and down, having town hall meetings. So hats off and respect to Muslim Council of Britain, who are doing some amazing work. So do engage with all of the platforms they are on. We, of course, have had some recent tech amazing events happening, including the AI Muslim community. We're going to be talking all about AI today, helping organizations, celebrating Muslim achievement, and so much more. It's important for us, to think about the future and how we can equip ourselves. Digital Islam, the youth are very much on social media, how we can use it to our benefit and impact positively on so much of the lifestyle and lived experience of Muslims. So, once again, welcome to everyone. People will be joining us and dropping in and out. We'll admit everyone who's waiting in the waiting room. As well, we have the amazing Dr. Wajid in the background, who's our tech support today. So, big shout out to him. So, look, whether you're tuning in from a masjid or a non-profit or a dawah group or a charity, a community center, you're in the right place. Today, we are diving into a topic that is both timely and transformative. How Muslim organizations can use AI to revolutionize their marketing. So in a world where attention is now, it's the new currency, marketing is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity. As a Muslim organization, we often face unique challenges, limited budgets, small teams, and constant need to balance outreach. That's where AI comes in and helps everything. It's not just about robots, it's not just about futuristic tech, it's already here, it's reshaping how we're connecting with people, from creating content in seconds to personalizing messages for thousands. AI is becoming an indispensable tool, no matter how much we might fear it, lack of education around it. It's here to stay. So imagine even a small masjid using AI to create beautiful, relevant social media posts for everyday Friday khutbahs, whether it's a Zakat organization using AI to translate messages across languages and cultures instantly. It's not science fiction. This is what is possible right now. So today we are going to explore how Muslim orgs, big or small, can harness AI, amplify their messages, their campaigns, reach the Ummah more effectively, and ultimately serve Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by working smarter. And I am so excited to be introducing our lovely, I don't know, the awesome Arfah Farooq is with us today, who had the pleasure of meeting at the Muslim Tech Fest, which was an epic event. If you missed out this year, you have to get involved next year. What do I say about Arfah? She is, of course, a lifelong community builder. She advocates for diversity and inclusion, from shaping the regeneration of East London past 2012 Olympics to building resilience in young people as a youth trustee for a charity. She accidentally co-founded a startup called Discoverables. This catapulted her into the technology world. And that led to her co-founding Muslim Makers, a community of Muslim change makers who upskill and pioneer the world of tech. The Muslim Tech Fest just being one of the things, and all of these things that are being founded. I mean, we can easily be motivated and inspired by Arfah Farooq. She is a 2017 fellow of the Winston Churchill Memorial Trust, and has been awarded an prestigious fellowship exploring Muslim women in technology in the USA, the UAE, and Pakistan, where she vlogged her travels. I need to go check those out. That's going to be amazing. Um, and she was also an award winner as Top 30 London Tech Week Changemaker in 2018, Top 20 Women in the Software Power List in 2021 by Google for startups and makers, and Top 11 Most Influential Women in Tech by Computer Weekly in 2023. So as you can see, there are many accolades, many things that we should be proud of, and we're so happy to have Arfah's expertise with us today. She has a vast experience in the private and public sector. For the government, she built an internal community of 1,500 plus product and delivery managers, built and launched the first number 10 Innovation Fellowship Program to get senior talent into government, and built out of this AI community in healthcare and NHS. She also managed the impact of the VC community. She was an angel investor in startups as part of Ada Ventures Angels program to invest in underrepresented talent. Now, I mean, where do you go with that? So, a massive, massive congratulations on everything you've achieved. And thank you so much for joining us, Arfah Farooq.
Just
How
like
are you?
I'm all right. Just like okay for that. It's quite
Gosh, it
funny
went
when
out
people.
for it went
I
on
know
for
it's quite
ages.
funny when people read out the actual written one because I don't expect them to, and I'm like, oh my
Oh, I
god,
had
oh
to. I
my god.
think we have
Yeah.
to just to celebrate, and empower anyone who's engaging, so we can share it with, the next
Alhamdulillah.
generations as well. So thank you so much for joining
Alhamdulillah.
us.
I've had I guess a colorful 12 years since kind of post uni life. But alhamdulillah for it. I do feel privileged for the work that I do. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Jazakallah khair for MCB and the team for having me. Yeah, I think this is stuff that I'm like super passionate about. I think, a lot of my work always intersects around kind of Muslim community, the tech world, etc. And I think with everything happening in the AI space, like for me, this is like a non-brainer. Like we as a community cannot be left behind. And often we do. And what I'm about to say is probably a bit controversial. I think ethics debates are very important, but sometimes I feel like we get too caught up on it and we don't actually do a lot of the practical stuff. And we need to do both. We need to challenge it, but we also actually need to tinker with the technology and learn and iterate and stuff like that. Otherwise, we are going to be left behind, like we've been left behind in many, many internet revolutions, before us. So I think for me personally, AI is really the chance of leveling up for yourself as an individual, leveling up as an organization. I feel like no matter how small your organization, you've got a chance to kind of really compete with bigger budgets, etc. But it all really comes down to how you use it, which is kind of today's talk really is going to kind of focus in on kind of marketing. I'll be talking about some stuff that I'm doing, some stuff I'm working on, and just some fun stuff I've been experimenting with as well. I think it's important, like with AI, it's always iterating all the time. So you have to be constantly tinkering. So, there are like new models, new things, and sometimes there's always new things that I'm also learning, and I think that's part of the journey. So yeah, I'm not gonna have to, I don't need to do the introduction now, which is great. I purposely need all these tabs because I will be going through them later. Yeah, I'm mainly known for kind of the Muslamic Makers, Muslim Tech Fest stuff, but yeah, have a bit of a colorful background. Oh, what's happening there? Okay, so often I feel like marketing and AI doesn't actually have the best of I guess reputations. It's kind of like, oh gosh, yes, you could tell that's from ChatGPT. Oh, look, you can see the M dashes. And people really roll their eyes, especially on LinkedIn. Um, but I think there's a different way that you can do it that can really, really allow you to double down. So why does it matter? Ultimately, AI, regardless of whatever it is, marketing, etc., it's only as good as the data you feed it and how you train it so that you don't get generic responses. What I would love to know, if in the chat right now actually is one sentence on how you currently use it, if at all. And any examples you've seen of like AI that might be a bit off brand? And like I said, it can be generic. Oh, I saw a post on LinkedIn or anything like that. I'm just curious to kind of understand kind of where people are in their journey of yeah, kind of marketing. And if you haven't experimented much, that's completely okay as well. But yeah, feel free to anyone just write on chat and don't be shy. Otherwise, I will move on to my second slide. Meeting transcripts. Yeah, I think that's a really common one. I'm going to talk about them actually as well at some point. Anything else? Yep. AI tools for document management. Email drafting, yeah, that's one of my favorites actually. I use Superhuman, which I find is so great for inbox management and drafting because the AI is within the email management system. Anything else from anyone else? Research tool for articles, yeah, I think deep research, again, using it for certain ways, etc., can unlock a lot. There was somebody that I met recently, and he told me how like before going to bed he would set up deep research for like the podcast interview person that he's got coming up. And he just got into this habit of like before going to bed, he'll do like a deep research prompt on a specific person. Um, but yeah, amazing website. Yep, creating potential, PDF audio summary, logos. Yeah, there's just so much, right? There is so like so many different angles angles to it. Okay, so there are two levels to this. I think today we will mainly focus on building the right tools for your team, and I will touch upon AI agents and kind of how that can just unlock a whole other side. But for me, level one is the most important because if you don't do level one, you can't do level two and you can't do more. So I'm gonna start off with like the really boring stuff. So I use kind of obviously custom GPT, and this is kind of for those that don't know, custom GPT is a thing in Chat GPT where you can basically kind of create your own GPTs. So if you go here and click configure, you can basically kind of give it certain instructions. You can upload certain docs. So I've obviously kind of recently created one for kind of the MTF, Muslim Tech Fest kind of universal things. And I'll explain kind of what I've done to kind of train that data and kind of take it from there. So, um, right. So this is the Google Drive that I have of what I'm calling my AI brain documents. And there's a lot of documents in there. So what is in those documents that are making this custom GPT just like, I'm like generally quite happy with it. Um, so business foundation, organization foundations, whatever you want to call it, depending on where you're coming from, or even personal brand foundations. Maybe you're a consultant or a coach, or you're a one-man business or woman business. These things are still really important. So the things you have to think about is, okay, like trying to get the AI to understand your business model, your customers, what kind of revenue streams you have, what does it do? The problem you're trying to solve, your ideal customer, really thinking about your customer personas, really describing them in detail. Like it's literally like basic marketing 101, but actually training your data to understand that stuff. So in the case of MTF, it's like, okay, we have different revenue streams, tickets, sponsorships, etc., etc. Really trying to get it to understand these kind of aspects. Trying to get it to obviously kind of understand the identity um, and that side of things. Then obviously there's the marketing side of things. So that's things like your brand voice. What is that brand voice, etc. What's the kind of language you use? Maybe it's salams, not assalamu alaikum, or whatever it is, right? What kind of jargon you want it to avoid that is really off brand for you. It's really important to kind of put those things in place. FAQs often that your audience your customer base might always ask. Really kind of, again, trying to put that stuff in there. Any kind of competitors, what their positionings are, so that it understands kind of, okay, you're a competitor or you have similarities with another organizations, but this is your difference. So it can, again, like learn this stuff. Um, then things like your messaging framework. What's your content pillars? What are the five, six, whatever kind of pillars of an organization in terms of your marketing often talks about? it might be, I'll share kind of the MTF ones soon. But what are those? Like those are those kind of things. For me as Arfah, as in like personal brand Arfah, it's like, okay, I like talking about motherhood, I like talking about AI, talk about tech, talk about parenting. Like these are kind of like often my content pillars. So actually if you're following me on LinkedIn, do add me. Then you might see these kind of this kind of content which is kind of related to the pillars that I have. Then there's obviously things like stories, examples, case studies. And I think, again, those kind of things are really important. And then again, how do you handle things like objections? Again, like training my data to be like, okay, well, a sponsor might say to me, oh, this is actually really expensive. How do I answer be to them? Or they might be, and actually training the data to really understand, okay, like how I handle those objections, because then anyone on my team using my custom GPT ever faced with that, they don't need to come to me for the answer anymore. They can literally just ask that in the custom GPT and handle it themselves. So it's really about kind of thinking about, I think from a scalability perspective, like for me, like this is the stuff that I get really excited about, because I'm just like, wow, like this is a way of like scaling without it weighing heavy on the leader or on the individual, and then how you would respond to things, etc. Training step three, um, aligning with your kind of strategy and goals. What are your business goals, organization goals for the next 6 to 12 months? Now, the reason again you would tell it stuff like that, because then again, if you're planning certain marketing, it can align with those objectives. If it doesn't know the objectives, if it's giving you some marketing ideas, it might not match with your business objectives if it doesn't know your business objectives. So again, it's like, it's not just about giving it marketing information or marketing examples. It's about, again, it really understanding the whole business like you as the leader or the individual does. Um, Key metrics, I think, again, are kind of useful for it to know. Um, and yeah, like which tasks and stuff you kind of want it to help with. And then, like, as I imagine, I think avoiding pitfalls, forbidden language, any ethical boundaries you have, style preferences. I want it to be super casual. I don't want to have too many emojis. Again, telling it how you want the output to be, I think, again, makes like a massive difference. Okay. Case studies and examples I think are really important. Again, feeding it customer success stories, case studies, examples, testimonials. Again, then it can use that to come up with things, proposals, whatever it is, etc. Because again, you've kind of fed it. You're not having to like dig it all out, find it manually. You've kind of fed it and you're like, okay, well, actually, here are my top 5 quotes from my customers, because it's all there. But what I will tell you, this stuff's really boring. I've literally spent the summer doing it, and it's a lot of work, because it's like going through your Google Drive, trying to find that information, writing this up, writing that up. But I will tell you what, like it's just been a game changer, an absolutely game changer doing this, because yes, I've been using AI for a very long time, but I've just never had the time to like actually build that out with custom GPT, etc. Instead, it's like I'll have different threads, give me a roundtable facilitator document, and I would upload an example, and then I'll have that chain for that same thing, but that's not scalable because no one on my team can do that. So again, by investing this time and getting like this level one kind of right, all of a sudden I'm building the right tools for not just myself, but actually for my team. Um, which kind of brings me to kind of okay, so what does that mean actually in practice? So Ibatel didn't speak at my conference. She spoke at the MCB AI conference. She's the amazing woman who got fired from Microsoft for speaking up against Palestine. And so I took her bio off the MCB website, and I literally fed this into ChatGPT, and I said, give me all the content I'll need to promote her for Muslim Tech Fest. Now I'm going to show you 2 examples. One is on train data and one isn't. And in the chat, I just want you to write A or B in terms of what you think is the train data. But before I do that, I'll show you the training doc. So for a LinkedIn post, I've given it three examples in terms of what kind of things we would post on LinkedIn when it comes to like promoting a speaker. All right, which output what do you think is on the trained data? So I'll just pause here for like 2 minutes, have a look at the train document, and then from these two posts, which one do you actually think is on the train data that I've kind of taught it? And you might think it's quite subtle, but then I'll explain in a second. Come on, guys, don't be shy. Just write in the chat. Anyone? The one on the right. Hold on. A or B. Right A or B. My rights and lefts are confusing. Okay, interesting. We've got a bit of a we've got a lot of B's here, B's here. Okay. It's probably because, all right, I'll need to explain this. This isn't going to go well. All right. So, okay, let me show you. So, if I go back to the train document and kind of, let me see if I can zoom in. Um, yeah, okay. And okay, so on here, if you look here, it says when Zubair Danjua launched ZNotes at 16, few could have imagined it would grow into a platform supporting millions of students worldwide. At 16, Zubair Janja started uploading his GCSE notes. It's quite story led. But here, so this one is the one that is not on train data. So this is very generic. Um, this is, as you can see, we're honored to welcome her, engineering strategic. It's very like generic. But if you look at this post specifically, you can see it's more story led, which is more inclined to actually the train document, right? So it's like when she challenged it, the contracts with the Israeli military, she lost her job. It becomes a more story led, which is kind of how I would want to promote her, rather than it being this like hoo-ha type thing. So then this ends up actually this output ends up being quite similar to actually what my copywriter would have written basically. So for me, this is great because then if I get any kind of random speaker bio, I can just put it in the custom GPT and it will give it to me in exactly the way I would want to promote that speaker. Whereas this is very like focused on her background. It's not really focused quite on the story. Whereas this one is much more focused on like, you know, her story and that kind of story-led approach. All right, so second one is kind of based on Instagram. So this is kind of a speaker bio carousel, kind of again, if it was like imagine an Instagram post, you know, the kind of slidey posts you get. Again, you've got kind of the training data would be he started building at 16, slide 2, now 6 million students learn with ZNotes, slide 3, proof you don't need to wait until you're older to make an impact. Meet Zubair at Muslim Tech Fest. Right, I'll have to zoom in on these ones. Okay, so I've got example A, which is this basically. So slide 1 would be meet Ibatel at Muslim Tech Fest, who she is, engineering strategic partnership lead. What's her journey? Former Microsoft AI manager. Or I've obviously got this one. I think it's probably going to start becoming a bit more obvious now. Slide 1, she stood up against big tech and was fired for protesting. Now she's building ethical AI at Yakin Institute. Meet her, right? So again, you can see like here for kind of all of a sudden this basically matches my document. Whereas this example is just dry in the nicest of ways. It's just dry. Like, yes, it's interesting, okay, like, all right, here's a background. But actually, when I kind of put it in the right kind of MTF tone, it kind of again it becomes kind of like more like story led. Which again to me is great because this is kind of how my marketer would put these posts together, etc. Okay, emails. These again are examples. These are actually real. These are yeah again examples from our emails that we sent this year. How we kind of did speaker spotlights. So again, learn how a 16-year-old made education accessible for millions. Kind of his bio, what his talk will cover. Likewise, similar here. Next up in our speaker series, we're kind of spotlighting Sidra, bio, etc., and whatnot. So here, okay, so I've got this one, which is kind of, our next MTF spotlight. Ibsa was once a rising software until she was fired for protesting the company's cloud and AI contracts. Rather than stepping back, she doubled down, and then it goes into kind of what she did. Or this one, and you could probably even just tell from the Assalamu alaikum. Actually, our emails have always been kind of more salams rather than Assalamu alaikum. So even here, again, it's the way it's written, it isn't quite in the MTF kind of tone or narrative of the way we tell stories. So again, like this is kind of the difference. And like I said, like once you train it in the right examples, anyone can do it. You can give this to anyone on your team, right? Or you can do it. You might literally, like I said, might be a one man or woman organization or whatever it is. But again, it just kind of super speeds the process of kind of everything in that sense. Okay, but you might be thinking, I don't have time for this stuff. That seems like a lot of work. Um, but I'm gonna kind of, I guess, like show a few things. Let me see if I can go back. All right. So this is the custom GPT I have, and I wanted to show examples of other things it can do just rather than like producing stuff. I like did this stuff beforehand just to kind of save time. Um, but it's real. I haven't photoshopped it or anything. And so all I asked it was give me social media content ideas. And then it said, here's a set of social media content ideas from the tech first aligned with your brand pillars and past examples. So this is now, again, like I said, it's looked at all the documents and it's cross-referencing the pillars I fed it from my marketer. And then it started to think about, okay, well, here we are, speaker spotlight. How would you do it? Okay, well, you could do these quick reels, you can do these carousel posts, slides, storytelling, behind the scenes. You can maybe do it behind the scenes with them. Okay, you've got a pillar around kind of community and belonging. Okay, like what about attendee stories, throwback posts, knowledge and legacy, Muslim innovator history. Again, this is stuff we've actually done on our Instagram where we've highlighted kind of certain innovators from like the golden age and stuff. So it's like really understanding actually and giving ideas again based on things we would post. Rather than just like picking out the most like random things. But then, like I said, it's mapping it to our pillars, which is great because then when you're producing this content, it's not in this like random silo. It's actually again mapped to the marketing strategy and the plan etc. Now, the other thing I think that AI really unlocks is hyper-localization and kind of hyper-segmentation. Um, and what I mean by that is, all of a sudden, again, somebody I know, she runs a childcare business, and they really it's like a childcare online platform, and they use parent Facebook groups that are localized. But the way to promote them is they create lead generation magnets, which is like, you know, 5 tips in the best 5 soft play areas in Harrow or whatever it is. And then they'll post that very specifically in the Harrow group. And then they'll do one in, I don't know, East Ham or whatever. And again, using AI, they're able to create these really hyper localized lead magnets and then use that to then actually like promote the business. Likewise, in like MTF's case, we have different kind of user personas. So founders, technical people, etc. So I've said I want to segment an email campaign based on my user personas. Give me some ideas. And then it's like, okay, well, you've got the C-suite, you've got the senior leaders. This is the types of stuff that they'll probably be interested in. Subject line, your brand at the forefront of Muslim tech leadership. Like that's probably like a thing that's top of mind of them. Secure a leadership package, host your brand, a technical builder. They might be interested in, actual practical workshops. So again, it's like, and this is all data I fed it, right? I've told it exactly who my top personas are. So it's understanding my top personas, what their problems are, what types of things they're interested in. So then when I'm getting this like marketing kind of content, again, it's like really feeding to their needs and their problems and would really resonate with them. So then that means like going forward, actually, like to me, a mark of success for MTF next year would be anybody with the founder title only gets emails that are like super segmented to them as founders. So it will be so relevant that you're not just getting this generic email, which is like, hey, buy a ticket to MTF. Actually, it will be super like led by a founder's desire, a founder's need, etc., etc. And then all of a sudden that will have like a massive like impact in the way, in the way we do things. Um, so that's like the power of, like I said, of trained data. However, as I mentioned, there are like other ways of doing things. One might be, as I mentioned, like sometimes you're like, okay, I just need a quick output. So one of the things I did for MTF, for example, was when I didn't have time and I was just in delivery mode, I wanted to produce these like roundtable facilitator documents. So I mean, I could show you an example here. Um, um, give me a round table. Actually, I'm gonna do it on this way. Give me a roundtable facilitator doc for how to help students start startups. Okay, so there's this tool, by the way, called Whisper, which is like one of the best kind of transcribe ways. And I've just found that anytime I've started to use this tool called Whisper Flow, it's like made my prompts better, etc. And my network connection has lost. Can you guys still hear me? Oh no.
Yeah, yes, we can.
You can, okay. So this is why I like did all my prompts beforehand because I was like things are gonna end up thing. Okay, so we'll ignore that. But what I was saying is when I was like in delivery mode, all I would do is just upload an example and then ask it to just produce it in the same format, and then I would just change the topics. So those are like quick ways of doing it, but like I said, that'll get your results for like what you actually want to do, but actually what you want to do is think about scalability, and that's where the custom GPTs play in. All right, next thing. Notebook LLMs is like my like next kind of favorite thing that I've been really I guess going hard on. Um, what does that actually mean? So Google have this tool called Notebook LLM, and ultimately it's building kind of an LLM based on sources that you give it. So just like the custom GPT where I've uploaded these documents, you might be like, I don't really have time to sit there and write all these documents. But what you might have is some really interesting videos, some PDF guides you might have written, your fundraising report, whatever it is, and you can just build it off the back of the this. So it's pretty simple to do. You just add the source, you upload it, either add the YouTube link or the Google Drive link or upload the file. And I've built two. And the two that I built, and these are really, really quick to build, especially if you just like I said, have all this random documentation and you could just throw it. So I built one on MTF talks, built on all the talks our community has ever given over the last like 3 years, all the YouTube videos, etc. And I built one, it's gonna sound cheesy, on myself. So obviously I've had lots of podcast appearances, interviews, things I've written, and I was like, I have a lot of content, but what I'm not very good at doing is repurposing the content. And this is like a really great way of like repurposing it. So an example would be what is Arfah's 5 tips for community building? And what it's done is it's like Arfah Farooq outlines her key tips for community building, often referred to them as 5 Cs. Now these numbers, as you can see, actually references the source where I've actually like talked about the thing. So because I've talked about it in like many different things, it'll like literally like this again is just the transcript of the base of that talk, right? Of the video. So um again, I can look at this and there's many ways I can like turn this around. I have a custom GPT built on again my previous writing so it can come out in my tone of voice, or I could put it into something called Gamma, which I will do now, and hopefully it won't fail me as a live demo. So Gamma is like an AI tool for kind of in presentations, social posts, etc. And again, it's like super simple to use. So for example, I've took that from the Notebook LLM. I haven't even read it, but I will like this is exactly my framework, by the way. I have a framework for community building, which is based on create, connect, collaborate, care, consistency. So Obviously I would read it, but I know this, everything I've said, it's referenced the source of where I've said it in the video. So I'm like fairly confident that this is exactly what I would say. It's not some random thing of ChatGPT. It's actually something that I live by, it's something I've created, etc. So if I throw it in there and I'm like, okay, I want to turn it into a social post and I'm going to scroll down and I actually want it. Now, this is like, as you can see, is it's quite a lot of text that I've just dumped and I will tell it to actually summarize it. And then it will say continue to your prompt editor. And then I can ask it to be minimal, concise, extensive. So I'm just going to go for minimal, and then I can show you kind of examples. And then I've got different themes. So I've got the AI Compass Labs theme, which I'll tell you guys in a bit. And then I've got like another theme, which is kind of like my personal brand. So if I clicked on my like personal brand theme, I'm like, okay, cool. And then I could keep it as free form and it's going to figure it out itself. It's going to divide this text into 10 cards. I can say I want it in 5 cards, or if I just want to be a bit more manual, I could like move each, say, point into each of the card. I'm just going to like be like super, super like just see what it does. Um, and then if you click generate, and then like I said, my internet's being like so slow today. We'll see what happens. All right. So as you can see, it's like took the framework of kind of my community framework, kind of what I would say, and has kind of like turned it into this kind of carousel post that I can then like post on like LinkedIn. Um, Now I haven't built. So I need to update my theme, but one of the things I can do as part of my theme is actually give it images I want it to use. So it could be images of myself at MTF, etc., so that it doesn't actually pull from AI or pull from the like image bank. And then, I can kind of ask it. Now I can ask to change it. So for example, I don't know, if I wanted this to be like, let's just say make longer, not that I would for social media, but just to kind of show you the different ways you can kind of play with it. It'll again like it's, as you can see, it's kind of like expanded on the points and stuff. And all of a sudden I've got this like carousel post I can post. Now you might be thinking, okay, yeah, but and what? So I'll show you the results of it. So this is a post I built on Gamma using Notebook LLM. It was my journey from kind of, I guess, how I created safe space for Muslim in tech. And it was one of those, again, those LinkedIn posts, typical LinkedIn posts, a bit scrolly. In hindsight, I probably would have simplified this a bit more, but actually, looking at it, it got 5,000 or so impressions, 14 comments. That's actually a lot of eyeballs on something I built quite quickly using AI. And if I was to make one confession, and the only thing that actually took me long was like choosing my pictures. So everything else was there. So actually where traditionally like you would spend like more time like, oh, let me make notes of what I said and then let me put it on Canva and all of those things. Actually that bit wasn't the time consuming bit. It was actually the vanity bit of like, okay, I just need to like select my right pictures. So yeah, you gain time and you lose time in certain places. So yeah, so like that, for example, is a great example of how we do things. And then, like I said, for conscious of time and Maghrib's creeping up on us as well. There's obviously, like I said, I built one for the MTF talk. So likewise, off the basis of MTF, again, now a lot of the content we can like churn out is really value led. Like I could take something that a speaker said at MTF, turn it into a really interesting email, turn it into a really interesting carousel post or Instagram, etc., etc., and all of a sudden I'm just reusing the great valuable stuff we have. And I think often with marketing, we sit there thinking we need all these ideas, but don't realize that there's a lot of things just unlocked. The last hack I wanted to quickly show was I coach people as well with my many hats that I have. And my person knows this that I use AI, I use transcripts and stuff. So what I did was just upload it. She knows I use all of this stuff, so there's none of that ethical stuff in here. But basically, I just did this like before this session, and I mean, so I just said, give me some social media posts off the back of things I say in this coaching meeting. The first ones weren't quite what I was after. So I was like, okay, let me try another prompt. And then the second prompt I said, we focus in on the motivational things I say to this coachee. I want them to be LinkedIn posts. And all of a sudden, I'm like, yeah, I did say that to her. And it's saying, you've proven you can deliver, but now it's time to shape the vision. Too often women, especially women of color, get boxed in as the reliable ones. And this was the actual conversation I had with her. So I know someone mentioned you use AI transcripts and stuff like that. Actually, there's probably a lot of gold in those transcripts. There might be some really interesting conversations you've had with your colleagues, and you happen to have recorded them on transcripts. And for as long as you have the permission, there's probably a lot of content just in those conversations. And again, if you have the right AI trained on your tone of voice, etc., then again, you're like producing a lot of like interesting stuff based on things you've like said. Um, so yeah, so that's that. All right. So I guess the only other things I wanted to touch upon was just some other tools. So an obvious one is kind of taking long videos and using AI to chop it. So again, a podcast appearance I've had. You can use CapCut, just literally there's so video, there's a whole bunch of tools where you just upload the video and it'll find the juicy bits, it'll find the themes, and it'll just like chop them into shorter clips. And then, yeah, so this is kind of one that I did, and I'm talking about prompt engineering, and I kind of used it to kind of promote the bootcamp, which I'll tell you in a bit. And again, it's like, all right, cool. Like, it's another way of me just reusing content that's already out there and just chopping it. And there are little things you do need to do, like for example, sometimes you'll need to tweak the captions. That's not like 100% and stuff, so it's not just as simple as like you just churn it out. You'll need to like at least still put an hour aside. But after I did that, I'm like, wow, I have like 20 clips now. And and then I need to schedule it, which is when I'll talk, which is, yeah, I'll talk about agent stuff in a second. um Other tools, there's a lot of like imaging tools. So this is more me just having fun with AI. I use AI a lot with my daughter. My daughter's 3 years old. We use it to like create fun stuff. So this is like a cartoon image I had created of her, and then I actually asked Midjourney to kind of animate it. And it's just fun, like fun. And then there's like this other silly one that I did of this is actually real life where I like we had a Barbies and I asked it to like wave or something. And then there's like another one where I literally just took the picture and I said, make it walk in, like drive into a beach. And, and this is like, it sounds a bit like, I guess, like, okay, but how can I use that in my business? But the point is, like, experimentation, like, is really important, and actually just having fun with it, because then eventually it'll start to unlock creative ideas, etc. as well. Um, ChatGPT has Sora. Again, this is my daughter likes giraffes and ducks. So again, this was me just like trying out, okay, their kind of video tools. Um, Google Gemini, I think, is slept on a lot. I think, they were quite behind on the AI race. I think they're catching up. Their video tools are absolutely crazy and incredible. Um, an example being, again, like this is all AI generated, including the sound, by the way. And then if you start to get really creative, you could actually start to stitch a couple of clips together and actually end up promoting whatever it is. Or like I said, you can have fun with it. So this is a cartoon I made like an 8 second clip. Girlfriends. And again, there's like a trick to this, in terms of actually like what actually gets you. It's like, description, what kind of style I wanted, how I want the camera to be, how I want the lighting to be, it's like how it's written in this kind of certain kind of format actually gets me a closer result rather than saying a giraffe and a duck skating cartoon. So again, like I said, it's all about like what you feed it and how you prompt it, etc. Um, this is again just like me playing around today. I think AI is really good for like mock-ups as well. Um, um, because like this is me just trying out again. I just put the logo, I put a water bottle, and I said add the logo to the bottom, promote it. This is swag being sold at Muslim Tech Festival. And then, even like not that I would sell t-shirts with just our logo on it, but all right, like, and then what I did is I uploaded our brand colors and I said, actually, give me some other concepts. So again, like, if I then wanted to take this to a graphic designer, I could actually take it and be like, here's the kind of stuff I'm thinking, here's my mood board, and actually, what the graphic designer will probably go actually develop will probably be more like what my vision was if I actually give him actual proper visual imagery mocked up using AI. Um, and yeah, I think experimentation is super key. Um, so there was this video that I think I've lost it now. Let me see if I quickly find it. LinkedIn IKEA video. Okay, so there was this video that went viral on LinkedIn. So this was you. I think again, it's a video to promote IKEA. It's not made by IKEA, but it probably could be an IKEA advert. Um, again, I was trying it today myself. So as you can see, like it's pretty cool. So this stuff is this stuff I think is kind of fun. And just yeah, like I said, experimentation is key. There are other tools out there. HeyGen is another one. I think HeyGen this point might lead to a few debates. It's not showing me the website. But things like cloning. I haven't tried that yet, but you could clone a version of yourself. That's on my to-do list. You could use avatars in terms of other people, maybe, those things obviously, like I said, there's some, some people can debate that, there's debatable and there's a lot of kind of ethics arguments when it comes to this stuff. But there's a lot of like, I think like things out there that you can kind of like experiment with. What else? Let me see what else I have. Yeah, I think I'm coming towards the end of it. I'm gonna just share a few links. So as I mentioned, I do alongside like I've released this. If anyone's a parent here, I have a play prompt pack for how to use AI with your child. And this one is just a simple one. Like sometimes I'm so tired to play with my daughter that I would literally just be like, take a picture of her dollhouse and then ask it to help me come up with like an imagination scene, and then I'm actually so much more present with my child because actually I'm tired parent, but all of a sudden I'm now present and stuff. So again, like use AI in like fun ways because then it'll open up creative ways in your business ways. And I think the last thing I just really wanted to touch on was so I think everything I really kind of specifically spoke about was creating the right tools for your team, and that's level one. And level one, like I said, is about training data and building the right tools so that you can really give it to anyone on your team. Maybe you hire an intern, whatever it is, etc., and then they can just get on with it. Level two to me is actually, I think, is the most exciting, um, but also not hard. I think it's just, you got to spend a bit of time on it. It's something called like AI agents. Um, and an AI agent is basically AI working while you're sleeping. And what I mean by that is imagine I've got my conference, I have a speaker bio that comes in, it goes into the custom GPT and it puts the bio automatically in drafts on WordPress. It drafts a post already and it's put it into the schedule for me and a bunch of other things that I've asked it to do. And that's great because now I'm not having to sit there and copy and paste the speaker bio from the Airtable and then put it in my chat GPT and then copy and paste it and then put it on my WordPress. I've actually taught it to go through this kind of workflow and system and actually just put it in the right places. You can make mistakes, however. So, and again, you can build this stuff using kind of Make and Zapier, but I wouldn't even go down that route until you like fix level one. You do make mistakes. So mistakes are part of building AI, and this is a mistake that not a mistake. I wouldn't call it a mistake. It was just learning. So I wanted to try, and this isn't me using custom GPT. I was just using generic GPT, and I wanted to see, okay, could I set up an agent where every Monday it puts 5 scheduled posts in buffer for me, and then that's it. It's done. And I just wanted to just see if the mechanism works. Um, it worked, but it didn't. Um, because what ended up happening is on buffer, I couldn't put it, it just automatically like lines it up. And what ended up happening is while I was sleeping or something, this posted. And I didn't see it for a couple of hours. And as you can see, it's the most like generic, very AI post. I turned it into a learning moment, turned it into a thing of telling people actually I was just experimenting and it's all good. Um, but what I was trying to learn is things to do with like, is there something called JSON about how you actually like have the text split up so that it goes into the right posts and stuff like that. So that's the stuff that gets a bit more kind of technical, which kind of I guess kind of leads me to my last thing, which is, and then yeah, I'm gonna wrap up, is so I've launched something called AI Compass Labs, which is a boot camp. So the first one is specifically focused for Muslim organizations and Muslim leaders, and we're really going to basically 2 days immersive, teach people. Got a whole bunch of like amazing partners on board, and it's everything from using the MCB maturity index to kind of process mapping, really thinking about your business processes, how you build your AI data, and it's not just telling you; it's actually giving you the time, because as leaders you don't get the time. So it's like half an hour of here's how you do it, now go do it, and then half an hour here's how you do it, now go do it, because experimentation in AI, regardless of whatever you're doing, is really important, but you often as leaders you don't get time. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things, amazing kind of speakers across workshop facilitators across the industry. Yeah, do check it out. There are currently early bird tickets. It's in November, but yeah, that's when we will go into this stuff at a higher level. And yeah, I think I'll probably wrap it up there. And yeah, Jazakallah khair for your time. I didn't realize it was going to take long. You know, when you first like practice on your own, it doesn't take that long. But I thought we would have times for Q&A. However, people can find me on LinkedIn and stuff. I am conscious, of course, that Maghrib is pretty much started as well.
Thank you so much. I mean, what a brilliant and insightful session that was. So thank you so much for all your time and effort. And I know I've learned a lot, and I'm not particularly techie, so I do hope everyone's taken benefit from that. Um, so just quickly, I suppose the question is, can we embrace the power of AI to revolutionize? And I think we can if we want to market connect and ultimately serve our communities in the efficient way, saving time where we could be focusing on other things. So I think it's been absolutely brilliant with the right intentions and mindsets. I think, this is the way forward. It's not just tools and technology, but it's about amplifying, purpose and making sure the messages reach the right places, the right hearts and minds, especially in current context with all the work that MCB is doing, all the reporting about everything that's happening in the world right now, whether it's Gaza, Sudan, whether it's the Islamophobia, the racist incidents, Islamophobic incidents happening here in the UK. I think we have to get with what's next and how we can really put our message out there, because there's so much happening against the Muslim community, unfortunately. So a special heartfelt thank you to Arfah Farooq, of course, our awesome speaker today. Incredible voice at the intersection of tech, community, and faith for us. So I'm definitely motivated and inspired. Your work and words today have no doubt helped us build, get rid of some gaps in our knowledge. And of course, we can connect with you on LinkedIn as well. Um, you've really shown us what is possible, I think, with just, a short few insights. So we look forward to learning from you more. To all the attendees, thank you so much. Jazakallah khair for your time. Your questions, inshallah, we will have another space for you to ask questions, or you can email in. Thank you for your energy. We hope you leave today with not just ideas, but actionable steps to take back to your organizations and renewed excitement to be part of the next chapter in this AI future. So let's, inshallah, continue the conversation, support one another, and make sure the Ummah is not left behind. Let's lead with purpose, creativity, and barakah. And I have to let you know what's happening, what else is happening that is exciting at MCB. Next month for Black History Month, we're going to have weekly webinars. So please do check that out and tune in again for that. You have to, of course, check out our website, mcb.org.uk, where you can join as a member. You can, interact with the posts. You can learn so much with what's happening, with everything that's going on. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala keep us safe, guided in our homes, protect our families. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also show us justice and peace and freedom around the world. But of course, I've been Shireen Mahmood, your host for this seminar. Thank you so much once again to my favorite tech woman in the world, Arfah Farooq. And of course, a special shout out to all the work that MCB does and Dr. Wajid for putting on this amazing seminar. So guys, take care. God bless. Any last words from Sister Arfah Farooq?
No, I think if I was going to just say like yeah, just get organized really, get working on your AI brain documents, or if you don't, like I said, if you don't have the time, just experiment with Notebook LLM with any existing documents you have, and you will just see like how much it can unlock in terms of like marketing.
Absolutely. I know I've got a long list of things that I've been making notes while we've had, all of this knowledge sort of to think about. So thank you so much once again. I think we'll